Do we have any public speakers this evening?
I feel like I've already been talking all night. I just wanted to, I'm sure most of you are probably aware, but for anyone that is not, we've had some serious gang activity in the Canyon Country area, and specifically our area. We had a drive-by shooting where a house was actually shot up, and we've had 2 individuals shot while walking on the street and approached by gang members. Now, the theory, the belief is, and I agree, that these are not local gang members, that they're coming from outside of our area, but we as a community, and I'd like to see maybe this committee form a task force or a subcommittee or whatever to really kind of work with the Sheriff's Department and the city to make sure that the problem does not get any worse. I think it's bad enough now. We really need to do something before people are actually killed, not just shot. Thank you.
Well, the city does have an anti-gang task force, and we had them out here once. Would you like to hear from them again? Okay, I'll give Hope Horner a call and see if I can get them out here. Wendy?
Hi everyone, I'm Wendy Albright. I'm here tonight to talk to you, and please forgive me if you ask my friends. I don't like to speak up very often. I'm here on behalf of the Santa Clarita Valley Constitution Day Foundation. We here in Santa Clarita, first of all I should ask, does everybody know that there's a federal holiday for Constitution Day? Anybody raise your hands if you do? Okay. Okay, well, it was passed in one of the stimulus bills a while back, and this year it comes into effect. And it says that the schools must teach about the Constitution for about the week between September 17th, and I think it's the 23rd or something. Anyway, they don't have to do it this year because it's on a Saturday. So we created a foundation that's a nonprofit and a nonpartisan thing, and we are going to put on Constitution Day for Santa Clarita. It would be really nice if we could get away from being seen as Awesome Town and being seen as the first Constitution city in the state of California. We've looked up and down the state, and nobody else is doing this. So we've got a great MC, we've got bands, we've got Girl Scouts, we've got the Young Marines, we've got the Gunners, we've got the rifle and 5 guys and all that stuff, and it's all going to come together. And so I just wanted to put it out there. We have flyers, if you'd like to have one. This is for We the People. So we're going to put on Constitution Day and hope that we can make this a regular yearly thing. So you can see me at the end, or you can see Chuck, who's got some flyers for you. And if you've got any questions. Spence?
Where is it?
It's going to be at West Creek Park. We tried to work with the city, but they weren't very helpful. So we went to the county. Antonovich's office was very generous. They are co-sponsoring this event, so they gave us the park. They've been very helpful. So it's going to be on September 17th, which is the actual official day, and that's a Saturday. It's going to be from 10 to 4. We're going to set up 13 colonies so that everybody can go around to each one of them. We're going to do a little scavenger hunt for the kids, and they're going to collect all their little stickers, and if at the end, they're going to go to George Washington, and they're going to get their Constitution, because we've got pocket Constitutions for all of them to take home, and they're going to sign their version of the Constitution. So, thanks. Any other questions? No? Okay.
When Al talked about Lynn talking 2 months ago, I guess it was, about the fact that money that had already been allocated for your bridge and for all the bridge, there are a number of bridges, $21 million in this valley that had already been approved to be used for bridges that is now being loaned to this bridge to nowhere, to New Hall Ranch. We need to speak out about this. We need to talk to Antonovich. Lynn went down and spoke at the Board of Supervisors, but you need to speak out also because you're being robbed of something that you've already It's already been paid for. So I urge you to talk to Antonovich's office about this.
Thank you, Carol.
Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Tim Chrisman. I'm the chairman of the Old Town New Hall Association, and I am a property owner in Old Town and a business owner. I own Chrisman Commercial Services, a commercial industrial real estate firm. It's actually the oldest established firm here in this community. So naturally, property rights and personal property rights are very important to me. First of all, Wendy, wonderful job. At the last council meeting, I felt compelled to read the Declaration of Independence to our council members so that they recognize that it's we the people that they're serving, which they often forget. I'm here tonight to speak about the very draconian historical code that the city is trying to force upon us, and they're just not listening. I don't know if any of you guys attended the Planning Commission meetings. One was held in February and one was held in May. There was, quote unquote, as Alan has so eloquently mentioned, the limited public outreaches they do in order to satisfy the bare minimum, which is certainly a trend that is growing with the city and something that we as the citizens need to push back on. But what's most important is, to me, the fundamental rights of an individual are basically sovereign, and the growth of government continues to encroach upon those and in order to take those away. I used an analogy that it's very much like boiling a frog. And I don't know if you guys know how to boil a frog, but you don't put him in hot water first. You put the frog in cold water and you turn the water up. All the while, the frog keeps swimming and doesn't realize that he's being boiled until he's cooked. So goes our personal and property rights, slowly being eroded by virtue of the usurpation of government. This is just one example of what they're doing. This historical code that they have been working on for several years, they're just now bringing it to the public attention. What I want to point out here is, as well, to spotlight something Alan's mentioned as it relates to how they go about notification. This 9-page spreadsheet on 11 by 17 page paper size has several hundred properties. These are properties that the city has identified over a committee that they created, of course, which none of us really knew about, identifying properties, and the Historical Society was largely involved in this. Properties that they identified that had historical significance. This other list here is what they've whittled down to, which is a list of 27 properties that they have identified as being their first run. The historical code was written in such a way, first of all, it didn't get any input from anybody outside of the city other than the Historical Society in determining whose property rights they were going to infringe on. Moreover, when they did their initial public outreach, they only notified the limited list. And yet, the way the code was written, at any time in the future, whether you were on the short list or not, they could arbitrarily decide that your property was historic and foster this upon you without you being able to do anything about it. So we have been very, very diligent in attacking this issue. The public outreaches they did were not very well attended, naturally, because there weren't very many people notified, which doesn't come to a surprise to you guys at all. So as the word got out, we forced the city to start notifying those of us that had an interest in seeing individual rights retained. At the May community meeting, there was an overwhelming amount of opposition to it. The code is written in such a way that you have no choice if they designate your property. Therefore, they can force you to participate in this, which limits what you can do with your property, requires a considerable amount of maintenance that they can determine whatever they want. So we opposed it adamantly and directed staff to, and they agreed that they would go back and look at this. Specifically, we asked them to go to other communities similar to ours and identify how they went about this process. In it was interesting, the selection process. I won't go into that and belabor it too much. However, the one thing that was clear is that a majority of the cities that have had the most success with their historical codes were ones where the property owner had the opportunity to opt out or opt in. Moreover, they had incentives to encourage property owners to want to participate. My feeling as a property owner is that if you want to force me to do something, then you have to pay for it. If you're going to take away a right from me, then you have to compensate me for it. That's not something that they want to do. The interesting thing is at both planning commission meetings, the planning commission rejected what staff had brought forth. And the February 15th meeting, community meetings should be held broader to provide for public input. Property owners' permission should be required. The city should create incentives that are encouraging the property owner. An advisory committee of qualified individuals, which on the cities that were polled, the majority of them had that. And they were not appointed bodies. They were bodies that were basically put together by individuals that were qualified, such as architects, people with historical backgrounds, real estate professionals, and the likes that could properly adjudicate a property and determine whether or not it had enough significance to really be designated. And the penalties, the Planning Commission agreed, were far too severe for those that were to do something on the property that violated the code. And they also directed staff to go back and review other cities. Well, the staff did that. They did it very limited. We're having an outreach meeting tomorrow at the Repertory Theater. We have created a presentation to help people understand that. The bottom line is at both Planning Commission meetings, Planning Commission was pretty much unanimous that A, they weren't qualified to serve as that body, B, that the property owner should, and Tim Burkhart said it best, should have the ability to opt in. At the last City Council meeting, the City Council, once again, is usurping the findings of the Planning Commission to do what they want to do. They think that if they limit it to just 3 or 4 properties, that they're going to get away with it. We need public support. As Alan has mentioned, if we don't get engaged in the process, we're going to be the frog. And we're going to continue to lose the rights that we have as individuals, both property and personal. So I would encourage you guys to, if you can't attend tomorrow's meeting, please come. Email council members. I've got another story, but I know Berta's sensitive with the time, so I won't take up any more. But I would really, really love to see you guys participating with us, because whether you're in Old Town Newhall or here, the city is looking to be able to circumvent your rights as an owner. Is there any questions? And I'll just step away. Thank you.
In September, for the September meeting, it's going to be our 1-year anniversary meeting with Mint Canyon, at the Mint Canyon Moose. We're inviting some of the Mint Canyon staff members and some of the officers, and hopefully we'll have a really great celebration. Minerva Williams, Minerva, show your hands. Hi, Minerva. Minerva Williams is one of our Santa Clarita Valley all-around good people, and she has approached us with the idea of spotlighting a presentation for seniors on financial and health planning, not necessarily here at the Santa Clarita at the Canyon Country Advisory Committee, but should be held in a separate meeting, but to be able to give you a little preview of what that would be all about. So Minerva will be here next month to talk about it, and well, I'll give her just a second to chat for just a minute about it, and then we'll go on. Also, at the next meeting, we'd like to talk more about the corridor upgrade plan. Hopefully, Paul Brosman or one of the planners will be here. I'll be able to, like I said, give you the final chapter of the house flood, or you can read about me in the Signal going postal. And we need to get an update on the Cross Valley Connector East Side construction plan. So with that, let me give Minerva, if you could just sum up in just a couple of minutes. I really appreciate it, and then we'll call it.
Thank you. I will abide by your 1 minute restriction. I just wanted to let you know, one, we're going to have Don Bastani, a longtime activist and radio host of KPFK, who's going to have a discussion on Middle Eastern focus, and there will be a discussion on his perspective of being an Arab American since 9/11. And if you do not know who Don Bastani is, he's one of the co-creators of America's Top 40. And if you're staying on top of it, Ryan Seacrest has now taken over. And what we say, it's a new generation that's taken over for the music industry, but he would be willing to discuss some of the ideas that he came up in coordinating the camera work that was done at Mary Tyler Moore's show that became a landmark, along with Bob Newhart and other Mary Tyler Moore productions. The second thing I wanted to let you know, at that same meeting, we will have candidates Diana Shaw, Lynn Blambeck said she would not be able to be there, but I will have some information on her. And then Dr. Lee C. Rogers. I've had a lot of people ask me who's going to run against Buck. We finally have someone who says they're willing to run against Buck McKeon. And so we'll give you an opportunity to ask him questions and quiz him on his information. I also like to introduce Edward Villampondo, who's one of my partners at Bankers Life and Casualty Company. And our company does specialize in just helping seniors in particular, and have been doing so for 135 years. So that will be part of the introduction I would give you, and I will be sending him some other information. And it's not to sell you a product, it's to explain to you what those products are. So when someone does approach you on it, you know exactly what to ask them. And I'm willing to even tell you that sometimes we're not as good as we should be, but I want to at least inform you as to what you should know. Thank you. The meeting for tomorrow night, in which Dr. Lee and some of the other candidates, along with Don Bastani, is going to be there, is tomorrow night. Socializing is from 6:30 to 7. And Don Bastani said he's 83 years old and he has to go to bed at 9 o'clock. So we will be starting on time and getting him out. So if you have any questions that you wanted to ask about the Palestinian-Israeli situation, I encourage you to come out, and he will give you the course inside of 1 hour, 101A and 101B. So I just want to let you know that.
Yeah, there are flyers and handouts for you in the back of the room. So thank you very much for attending our August meeting. Look forward to seeing you back here in September.